12681. Offices in Baton Rouge. Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on a Friday. In a good mood today. Going to be an awesome weekend here in Baton Rouge. Got Alondra Villarreal and Jacob Beck back there on the ones and twos. Glad you're with us as you wind your work week down. A lot of sports to talk about. Draft, baseball, football hires. Do we have any basketball? No, we don't have any basketball. That's all right. All the other sports are covered. And we're excited to be with you. Going to have Kat Terrell, covers the black and gold. She'll be with us in 15 minutes talking about what the Saints did last night, which is kind of stay the course. Didn't do anything crazy. Took their pick, and it was a good one. We'll talk about it in a second, but Kat will go dive deeper into that as they had a chance to chat with Brian Brzee last night, and then we'll talk about what the Saints will do today and tomorrow in the NFL draft as well. So excited to have Kat Terrell on. I'll talk about LSU and Bama coming up in 30 minutes. Tigers and Tide at the box this weekend. They'll start things up with game one at 6:30 today. LSU's got a new defensive line coach. There's a running back in the portal that may be interested. Will Miller covers Alabama for Tide Illustrated. We'll get back to SEC baseball with Will Miller at the top of hour number 2. But we will start with the new NFL draft and what the Saints did yesterday. And like I said, they didn't get overly aggressive and trade up and mortgage picks. They just stayed where they were. They took a pick at a position of need. That's good. Good work. Didn't need you trading up 8 spots, trading 4 picks away. You got a lot of holes. You got to start filling them. You can do that one by one, and they did last night with Brian Brzee, a 6'5", 300-pound defensive lineman from Clemson, going to play on the interior for the Saints. This is a guy with a ton of talent, a big-time backstory as well. He was the number 1 player in the country coming out of high school in 2020, signed with Clemson, and over his time in 3 years at Clemson has dealt with a lot, from a kidney infection to some injuries. He had an ACL injury, he had a shoulder injury, and then lost his younger sister, Ella, at age 15 due to brain cancer. The whole family was in Ella Strong sweatshirts last night. But he's a really, really good player, and the Saints had to have him. They had to have someone at that position. I was looking up the Saints' run defense today, and we remember that it was bad. It was bad. After a run of 5 or 6 years with great run defense and elite-level defense, the Saints took a step back this past year. You all remember Tyler Algier running for 139 yards for Atlanta. You remember that. I think what's even worse and a bigger indictment on the Saints' run defense is that Eno Benjamin ran for 92 yards on 12 carries. That's almost 8 yards a carry, and then got cut twice the next month by 2 different teams. He ended up playing for the Saints later. This guy couldn't stay on a roster, and he ran for almost 100 yards on the Saints' run defense last year. It would be fun if they took a pass catcher in the first round. It would be fun if they took a quarterback in the first round. It'd be a lot to talk about, and you'd see him scoring touchdowns. You can't stop the run. You're toast. I know the NFL wants to spread it out. They want to throw it. It's a modern game. You still got to stop people from running the football. And the Saints did that when they were a really good team. They didn't last year, and for that reason, they were a bad team. There were a number of other reasons, quarterback play being one of them. But you can't stop the run. You're toast. And Brian Brzee, while has not been a tremendous pass rusher at Clemson, has been very strong against the run and shown flashes of rushing the passer. I think you drafted a guy with a lot of talent, with a high-character individual. I listened to some of the interviews that Mickey Loomis did, some of the interviews that Dennis Allen did, and they went to Clemson and spent a lot of time with a number of players on Clemson's roster, but Brian Brzee was one of them. And they just glowed about the interaction they had with him, the film study they did with him, and I think you've done a really good job here. It's the second year in a row where everybody kind of looked at this thing and went, okay, this is where the Saints need to go. And they actually did it. Last year, you thought, man, they got to figure out tackle. Taron Armstead's moved on. You got Ramczyk on one end, but you're a little light at tackle. And they went and got Trevor Penning. And you thought, okay, this wide receiver room is not adequate. And they went and got Chris Olave, who had a great year. Penning, of course, missed a bunch of time with injury, but Olave had a really, really good rookie year. And you would imagine that that's a guy that's going to be a cornerstone of the next really good Saints team. And this year, everybody looked at it and said, they got to do something up front. They addressed it a little bit in free agency, adding the 2 guys they did. But they go get Brzee, who's going to plug in, and he's going to play a lot for the Saints in year 1, I think, as an interior defensive lineman. The question becomes, what are the Saints going to do moving forward? I'm excited to get Cat Terrell's thoughts on that here in about 10 minutes. But you got 40 and 71 today. I'd be pretty surprised if the Saints don't move up at some point today. That's just, it's in their DNA. I love the number that Luke Johnson gave us yesterday on this show where he said the last 20 times the Saints have traded draft picks, they have moved up. 20 for 20. Not 17, not 19, 20 out of 20 the Saints moved up. I can't imagine they're going to sit on their hands today. It's like somebody glued Mickey Loomis's hands to the couch. Like, sit down. Just, we're taking the pick. Just cool your jets. I can't imagine that's going to hold for another 24 hours. I would think the Saints will move up. The question is, do they move up early today? They've got the 8th pick in today's portion of the draft. It's 40th overall. Do the Saints want to trade up to go get Michael Mayer? If that's a guy they've identified at a spot where, look, Juwan Johnson is what he is. He's undersized, not going to bring you a ton in terms of blocking. He's a converted wide receiver playing tight end. And you took a middle-round pick on Adam Troutman. You really like the measurables. Small school, how's it going to translate? And it's just kind of been a nothing burger to this point. Does Michael Mayer fit into your plans? I don't know that you're going to be able to get him at 40. Can you get him at 35? What does it take to move up 5 picks? Yesterday, to move up 1 pick, the Eagles ditched a 4th rounder. At this point, you're not that high in the draft. Can you give up a 6th to move up 3 or 4 spots? That sounds very Saints-ish to me. And is Michael Mayer the guy that you target there? I think another option right here at the top of the second round is Osiris Torrance. Look at the contract structures you've got up the middle. Andrews Pete's not going to be on this team at this point next year. Do you want to make a move at a guard spot? Osiris Torrance is probably the best one sitting there. He's a Louisiana native, went to Louisiana Lafayette, played at Florida, and it translated. He went from the Sun Belt to the SEC. He was as good a guard as there was in the league. Is that a guy that you can target at 40? I did the pronunciation on this, so bear with me. I'm going to get through it. Adetomiwa Adebawore. Adetomiwa Adebawore. That's right. I've spelled it out phonetically. I heard him say it and then wrote it down on my notes. Adetomiwa Adebawore from Northwestern, the defensive end. I wouldn't be mad at the Saints at all if they went back to defensive line. At all. You need depth there. You need rotation. You had a couple guys go out the door in your division. You brought a couple in. Now you just drafted one. Go get another one. And that's another big run-stopping defensive end. I mean, like I said yesterday, Cam Jordan has had 21 sacks in the last 2 seasons. That's great production. Do you think he's going to have 21 more over the next 2 seasons? I don't. Maybe he'll defy age, and maybe he'll do it. He's in great shape, and he's been incredibly durable. As durable as any player in the sport. But eventually, Father Time wins. I wouldn't be mad at all if they went defensive line. Maybe you don't want to move up to get Mayer, but instead you take Sam Laporta, the tight end from Iowa. I know Hester loves him. I would like that. I think tight end is something you got to address. Or do you go running back? There are plenty of running backs on the board right now. I kind of like the running back options that'll probably be there at 71. I think Devon Achane makes a lot of sense for the Saints. You've brought in Jamal Williams to carry the ball as your bell cow back. Achane's a playmaker. We saw it, unfortunately. I think that makes a ton of sense at 71. Tank Bigsby will be there at 71. He's carried the ball a ton at Auburn, but he's a big physical back that could be your lead back in the future. Tyjae Spears, a guy we talked about a lot, hometown kid from Tulane. Is that a name you want to go after? It feels like at some point they're going to address running back. I'm fine with it in the middle rounds. I'm fine with it in the 4th or 5th round. The Saints have been pretty good finding running backs later on. That you can't get to a point where Eno Benjamin's your guy on his 3rd team of the season. Can't believe that guy ran for 8 yards a carry on the Saints and then got cut twice in a month. Fix that, Brian Brzee. But I think what the Saints do is fascinating. And again, this goes back to what I said on Tuesday of this week. The Saints have issues. But as you start to address them in the draft and a little bit in the free agency that you did, you start looking around the division and going, okay, this is doable. And then you start looking around the conference and you say, okay, this is doable. Who are the best two quarterbacks in the NFC? Jalen Hurts and Matt Stafford? Dak Prescott? You start to look around and go, okay. So I think yesterday was a step in the right direction, and I think today is huge for the Saints. Huge. Because of the money you spent at quarterback, you weren't able to address some of the other things you may have done in free agency, because Derek Carr signed a big deal football-wise, not quarterback-wise, but football-wise, salary cap-wise. You've got to hit on these early draft picks. It's a lot to ask to hit on 6th and 7th rounders. That's asking a lot. It happens, but it doesn't happen very often. You've got to hit first, second, third round. Got to do it, and that's tonight, and that's the opportunity the Saints have in front of them right now. I think, I think Michael Mayer makes a lot of sense if you move up a couple spots. I think Osiris Torrance makes sense. I think Adetumwa Adebara makes a lot of sense. Sam Laporta, Tank Bigsby, Dajee Spears, Devon Achane, just some names. I'm curious to see what Kat Terrell thinks of positionally where the Saints may go, and then also kind of some names that she thinks may be on the table for the black and gold. Our Friday shows are brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by Corks today. It's on Government, right there between Foster and Jefferson. New concept here in Baton Rouge, delicious quick service fried shrimp and fried catfish. And this catfish is not your fishy, dirty, muddy catfish. It is clean. It is incredibly crispy. The batter is flavorful. It is fantastic catfish. And the Gulf shrimp are huge and delicious. If you're looking for something a little different, how's this sound? Their famous baked potato that you've gotten at Kuyon's over the years, they've got it there at Corks, but they'll top it with crawfish etouffee and fried Gulf shrimp. It is phenomenal. They bring you our Friday shows right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We'll take a time out. We'll come back with Kat Terrell talking black and gold. It's the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana like Dr. Robert Jackson. All April long, it's been a pleasure to tell you about Dr. Robert Jackson and all the work he has done up in North Louisiana. He is the founder of the MLK Health Center and Pharmacy up in Shreveport. That clinic provides $16 million in services to over 1,700 patients every year. Clinics like the MLK Health Center and Pharmacy are essential in a state like Louisiana, which has one of the highest uninsured rates in the country. And this clinic operates at no expense to the patient. Dr. Robert Jackson, truly a champion of Louisiana. If you know of a champion of Louisiana, we want to tell their story. If it's a nonprofit, if it's a person, if it's a business that's doing great philanthropic work in our state, LWCC wants to know about it. Go to lwcc.com/champions and nominate a champion of Louisiana so that we can tell their story right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Dr. Robert Jackson is April's champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and 7 have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my...
On Monday's OTB, we'll recap the entirety of the NFL draft. How did LSU fare against Bama in the box? And we'll bring you a brand new weekend winners. Plus, Hold the Mayo stops by for some spread lines. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimps. Let's head out to the Jim's Firearms Hotline. We'll chat with one of my former Reveille cohorts, Kat Terrell with ESPN covering the black and gold. Catherine, how are you?
I'm doing great. I feel like I need to catch up on sleep after waiting so long for that pick last night.
Well, that's the thing. You got to be shocked when the Saints don't. I kept waiting for Schefter to pop up and go, here come the Saints. They moved up 15 spots, and it didn't happen. Were you surprised that Mickey Loomis sat on his hands last night?
I was surprised and also disappointed. I was like, let's get this show on the road and trade up to like 20 or something. But they didn't do it. They practiced restraint or just couldn't find a trade partner. One of those. It's probably the latter.
Well, they settle on Brian Brzee at what I believe to be a significant position of need. Did that pick make sense to you?
It really did. He was a name mentioned with the Saints a lot over the course of this offseason. It kind of reminds me when Sheldon Rankins was picked. That was one of those years where it felt like everyone was linking Rankins to the Saints. And, I mean, as you said, it fills a position of need. Their interior pass rush was awful last year. I think I was looking at some stat from ESPN Stats and Info. I need to go find it because I posted it really late. But I think that, they had the lowest pass rush win rate from the interior of any team in the NFL last season. So obviously they had to make a change, even if they hadn't been forced to with Shai Tuttle and David Onyemata leaving. So I think it makes sense. I think the Saints did the right thing. I think time will tell how the pick works out. People are concerned about the injury history, but, other than that, obviously great guy, the type of character guy the Saints want, and it's going to be able to play a role right away.
Y'all had a chance to chat with Brian Brzee yesterday. What stood out from that interview?
Just that, he's gone through a lot in his life, and he said that it's made him mature faster than maybe other people his age. Obviously, he lost his 15-year-old sister to cancer, and it hasn't even been a year. I think that was at the last fall in September or August. So he's been dealing with that. He had a kidney issue last year as well. Just so much going on, and he's kind of persevered through that. And he really came away as really impressive. Even in that short interview, he was saying how he plays for his sister and wants to have the same type of positive attitude that she had when she was battling cancer. And so, I think he's an intriguing guy. And, football-wise, what stood out is he just said that he can play a lot of spots on the defensive line. That's something that Dennis Allen also said. And that's a good thing with the Saints since they like to rotate all their defensive linemen so much. You really want to be versatile so that you can play a role right away.
You mentioned Tuttle and Onyemata moving out. They sign a couple of defensive linemen in free agency and then go in the first round with Brzee. Where does Brzee fit in on this front from day one?
Well, I think that the guys they signed, at least to me, that seems more of a run-stopping type of role. And I think Brzee can be the guy that maybe fills the interior pass rush type of role. You know, when you go back a few years when they had Rankins and Rankins was healthy, I think having a guy like Rankins who could push the pocket from the interior helps guys on the outside like Cam Jordan. And it almost feels like that's been missing the last few years. So I think that they're going to be able to find a role to coexist with the three of them right away. But I'm kind of intrigued to see how the revamped defensive line looks and if they can get a better pass rush this year. I think that it's not complete. They still need to find that outside guy that can also rush the passer.
Cat Terrell, ESPN Saints reporter, joining us here on the Hunt Palmer Show. All right, moving forward today, second and third round, the Saints are slated to pick at 40 and 71. How shocked would you be if those two picks were made and they were the only two picks by the Saints today?
If they were made and they didn't move
if
up?
they just stayed there and picked at 40 and 71 and that was it today.
Maybe a little surprised. I mean, I definitely think that they have 7 picks left, I think. I feel like they're going to try to take some of those day 3 picks and move up. It wouldn't be a Saints draft if they didn't. And, you know, it's going to be an interesting day because there's so many positions I think that they could go. I thought that yesterday, too, even though my mind was kind of stuck on them taking a defensive lineman. It wouldn't have totally surprised me if they had gone in a few different directions as well. A quarterback would have been the only one that in the first round that I would have been like, really?
Yeah.
Not so sure about that. Or maybe offensive tackle too. That would have kind of thrown me for a loop.
For sure. What position do you think maybe one or two that they could go after here at 40 and 71? Like you said, there are a lot of options.
Yeah, I think that they're probably going to be looking at tight ends. Adam Troutman's in the last year of his contract. They really haven't had that superstar pass-catching tight end in a long time. I mean, I guess you could say, you know, they have Taysom Hill, but I don't think anyone really views him as just a tight end. And Juwan Johnson is productive here, but that we'll kind of see what his ceiling is. So tight end is one. I think an underrated need is guard. Andres Pete also in the last year of his contract after they reworked it. And then, you know, maybe they look at wide receivers. I think that hasn't been talked about as much, but I wouldn't be surprised if they keep kind of trying to figure that out with, you know, no one really knows what Michael Thomas's health is going to look like this year. So that's always going to be some sort of need.
In the first segment of my show, I kind of laid out that Michael Mayer's there, the tight end from Notre Dame. I don't know that he makes it 8 picks tonight. It seems like it might make sense to me if the Saints could dish a 5th or a 6th round to move up 4 or 5 spots and get Mayer. Do you see a scenario where that could unplay?
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either. I think that if they had taken a tight end in the first round, it totally shocking. I think sometimes with first-round tight ends, though, that the value's not always there based on production, I guess. It's a big question as to whether it works to take a first-round tight end unless it's a generational type guy. But second round makes a lot of sense. I agree with you in that they would probably have to make a move to get there. So, maybe that's where they get rid of some of those picks on day 3.
Do you think running back is going to be addressed in the next 2 days?
Yeah, I do in some way. You know, Mickey Loomis said that he wasn't worried about Alvin Kamara's legal implications. He said that's a short-term thing. I don't really know how you can say that yet. We don't know how that's going to play out. His next court date isn't even until training camp. So there's a lot of question marks there. So that wouldn't surprise me. I think it would probably be later, but, running back to the position where with the injury situation and how much I feel like they get injured, it's always a good position to keep looking for and adding depth.
Here's a big picture question. I'm just curious your kind of thoughts on it. Where do the Saints sit in terms of the division right now, which just seems still totally up in the air to me?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I think people want to make snap judgments right away, and it's just hard to say until we see how the other quarterbacks can actually play in the NFL. I mean, and that seems such an obvious thing to say, but you just don't really know. I mean, quarterback drives everything, and I think quarterback is a question for every team in this division now. Obviously, Derek Carr is more established, but, how does he fit in with the Saints? What are the Panthers going to do now? I'm intrigued to see what the division looks like now that Brady's gone and now that everyone has kind of played musical chairs with quarterbacks. So to me, it still feels very wide open, like it did last year. Last year felt like it was like a race to the bottom. Like who could be the most mediocre and yet still make the playoffs?
Look, it may not be great in the division, but it's interesting nonetheless, and that counts for something. Kat, thanks so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the draft.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
She is Kat Terrell, ESPN Saints reporter, former coworker of mine at the Daily Reveille. I messed up twice. Daily Reveille at LSU. I can get it out, I promise. Friday shows brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. When we come back, big weekend at the Box. I'll get you ready for LSU and Alabama on the Hunt Palmer Show.
Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Rally Cap, it is handmade for the home team. They got tours today. They got tours tomorrow. If you want to get by today for a tour, buy your ticket in advance. Get out by the brewery. 5 o'clock is when they crank up on Fridays. If you want to take a tour tomorrow, looking for something to do outside the house, 1 o'clock. Go to rallycapbrewing.com and sign up for a tour. They got great beers. If you're headed out to the Box this weekend, you'll see First Pitch. If you're watching us on YouTube, you see the First Pitch can right here. It is turquoise. You cannot miss it. It was their first beer, and it is fantastic. You can get it at Alex Box Stadium. I highly, highly recommend. If you're into craft beers, Rally Cap's the place you need to go. They got 14 beers on tap, even more canned options from your sours to your stouts to your pale ales. They got it all over at Rally Cap. Great place to watch a game. If you want to watch LSU tonight or some baseball this weekend, get on by Rally Cap and see the brewery, take a tour, and get a guided flight at the end. You can check out all their options and all the information at rallycapbrewing.com. Rally Cap, it's handmade for the home team.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TB to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
All right, let's say ah.
Where'd my spotlight go?
Super weird, but we can take care of it.
Get in and get better at Patient Plus.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call.
Charles Hannigrove. Join us for the Monday edition of Hanny Time. We'll recap the entire NFL draft plus LSU's 3-game set with Alabama. Hanny Time, noon weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I ain't happy. I'm feeling glad I got.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
SEC action returns to the box tonight, 6:30 first pitch between LSU and Alabama for Game 1. You can listen to it over on Eagle 98.1, our sister station. Voice of the Tigers, Chris Blair, will be on the call. They'll crank up pregame at 6 o'clock. This Bama team is interesting to do research on because statistically, they look very strong. Then you look at their results, and they're not that great. They're not awful, but they're not great. It's a Bama team that's 30-12. They're 9-9 in league play. They started 14-0 and then lost 2 out of 3 to Columbia right at the onset of SEC play. And then they got going in SEC play. They lost 2 out of 3 at Florida, lost 2 out of 3 to Kentucky, lost 2 out of 3 to Arkansas, lost 2 out of 3 to Mississippi State. Then they beat Auburn 2 out of 3. And then they swept Missouri last week in a series where they hit 9 home runs. So they lost their first 4 weekends in the league, and the only 2 series wins they have are Auburn and Missouri. That's not very good. And then you check out the statistics, and you look at their offense, and they're second in the SEC in batting average. They're 6th in the league in slugging, 4th in the league in on base and runs scored. They've got the most hits in the Southeastern Conference. They're top half in homers, top half in walks. They have the 3rd fewest strikeouts. They statistically look pretty good. I tell you, there's a team that leads the SEC in hits, has the 2nd highest batting average, is 4th in runs scored, draw walks, hit some homers. That offense sounds pretty good. And then I go over to the pitching side of thing, and okay, they're 3rd in the league in ERA. That's great. 6th in the league in strikeouts. That's top half. They walk the 3rd fewest hitters. They're 5th in home runs allowed, which is good. Like, pitching sounds pretty good too. Just look at the statistics. But then their record's not very good. And then I look at the lineup, and I'm like, it's okay. The best way I can describe this Alabama baseball team is it's just a solid club. They got some good pitchers. They got some good hitters. Do they have a bunch of first-team All-Americans? No. They got a bunch of future first-rounders? No. Are they grossly deficient anywhere? No. They're just a solid, average team. So I'll go through a little bit of personnel, and then I'll tell you some keys, to the weekend this weekend, as everybody's clamoring for me to take Alabama to win 2 out of 3 because I did that with Ole Miss last week. We'll get to a pick later. You'll see Luke Holman tonight for Alabama. He's a sophomore right-handed pitcher, 5-2 with a 3.15 ERA. He's struck out 53 and walked 18. That's pretty good. Garrett McMillan will go on Saturday. He was their Friday night guy last year. He's a senior right-hander. He's only made 4 appearances. He's coming back from a shoulder injury, but, 10 innings, 10 strikeouts, 3.3 ERA. He's fine. Jacob McNary is going to go on Sunday. He's a 5th-year senior right-hander, 5-1 with a 3.92, 40 strikeouts, 8 walks. That's fine. And you turn on the tape, and Alabama's weekend rotation, Luke Holman, Garrett McMillan, Jacob McNary are just as generic a starting pitcher in the SEC as you're going to find. They're right-handed. They're 6'2" or 3. They throw 93 miles an hour with a slider. It is just the most average thing you're going to look at. They're not going to trot anybody out there that's throwing 87. They're not going to trot anybody out there that's 6'8" and throwing 100. It's just your average stock SEC starter. Average. That's what they are. And that's what they are mostly throughout the lineup outside of Colby Shelton, who's got 16 homers as a freshman. But this is where I start to get to my keys to this weekend. It's you got to beat these starters up early and get leads early in the game because the bullpen for Bama does have some dudes. Alton Davis is a dude. I mean, they got some guys in the back end of the bullpen that can really pitch. And you don't want to get to those guys trailing. So the key for me for LSU this weekend is the first 4 innings of every game. If you can get a 2 or 3 run lead in the 4th inning, then Brad Bohannon's got a decision on his hands. Do you want to go to your A relievers trailing by multiple runs? You're probably not going to do that. You're going to save those guys for when you've got a lead. So LSU has got to get leads early. That sounds like an obvious thing to say, but sometimes the goal is to get into somebody's bullpen. The goal here is to stay away from their A relievers. It's just not easy for Brad Bohannon to go to his top bullpen guys in the 6th inning if you're down 6-2. You just can't do it. That's a huge key for LSU this weekend. Get leads early before Bama's bullpen can come in and really maybe give you some problems. Another thing I've got to see tonight, Paul Skeens has got to find a slider tonight. I did not think he was great on Friday of last week against Ole Miss. I did not think he was great. I thought he relied all on the fastball, didn't really have much of a breaking ball, but Ole Miss couldn't catch up to the fastball, so he struck out double digits and got you deep into the ballgame. He needs to be sharper than he was last week, and that begins with the slider. He can rely on that fastball. It's going to be there. The guys that have velocity, that's one of the things you'll hear him say, and I know when I show up to the yard, the velocity's there. You got a guy who specializes in breaking balls or whatever. Sometimes that feel's not there, and you're just not the effective pitcher. When you've got velocity on that's always going to show up. He's got to spin the slider. Very important for him. Ty Floyd. I'd love to see another step forward. That was a big-time effort from him last week. Got into the 9th inning. Huge. So if I can see more of that moving forward, that will grow my confidence in this team. I think a lot of y'all have been irritated at my power rankings or me picking Ole Miss to win last week or kind of taking LSU a peg down from where most people consider them. And when it's your team and it's a team you watch, you see all the warts. I don't see South Carolina's warts as much. I don't see Florida's warts as much. I don't see Vanderbilt's warts as much. I see all of LSU's. I see them every day. But Floyd, outside of about a 4-inning stretch against Arkansas in SEC play, had been very underwhelming before last week. Now, Ole Miss stinks on ice. They're bad. They're 3-15? They're bad. Okay, I'm glad you dominated them. Let's see it again against Bama. Bama's not the best team on your schedule. Bama doesn't hit like some of the teams that LSU's seen thus far. They don't hit like Arkansas. They don't really hit like Tennessee. It's a singles team. They'll hit some doubles, and they slugged a little bit last week with the 9 home runs. But if Floyd can give me 6 2/3 of 2-run baseball tonight with 6 or 7 strikeouts, I'm thrilled. I will count that as a step in the right direction. Same thing goes for Christian Little. The offense, you realize when I go to Keys, I always talk pitching because I don't have to worry about LSU's offense if it's healthy. You trot me out a lineup that's got Milazzo, even though he has swung the bat much better of late, and it's got Scuffle and Pearson, and you're just not quite whole without Dugas healthy and White and Morgan, and you're just not quite what you can be. So I don't immediately go to that, but I'd like to see those guys out there. Is Kling ready to go? I don't know. What I do know is when he's ready, we probably won't know about it until he's ready. That's the way Jay handles injuries, and that's fine with me. That's the Les Miles school of we're just not really going to talk about it. But for LSU, I think key to any weekend with this team is to win behind Skeens. Once you win behind Skeens, all the momentum and the numbers are in your favor. You just got to split the next 2. Keys to win behind Skeens and then figure it out the rest of the way with your bullpen. And get an early lead. Don't let Brad Bohannon dip into that bullpen with a lead in the 5th or 6th inning, which is what he likes to do. And then let's see those pitchers make steps forward. This is a great opportunity for LSU at home against a pretty average team. Alabama screams regional 2 seed. They scream it from the rooftops. This is your SEC 2. This is your regional 2 seed. You won't see Bama coming in to Baton Rouge because they can't do that. But this is what it's going to look like if, whoever from out west or somebody comes in from the ACC. This is what your 2 seed is going to look like. Average starters, couple guys in the lineup that can hit homers, reasonable defense, little star power. Let's see how LSU handles it. So you want my pick, don't you? See in the Bayou Ford chat, clamoring, Hunt, pick Bama to win 2 out of 3. Hunt, just throw the jinx on us. You're never right. Look what you did last week. You're an idiot. You want the pick. I like LSU 2 out of 3 this weekend. I'm not at the point to call for a sweep. I think Bama is a little too solid for that. I think there's a chance Shelton runs into one. I think there's a chance Bama gets a lead late and goes to Davis, and that's a tough climb. I think it's a lot to ask for LSU to sweep Alabama, but I do think LSU will take 2 out of 3. As I said on Monday, the sweep helps you out in changing the math. All LSU needs to do to be a top 8 seed, in my opinion, is go 7-5 through SEC play. You win 2 out of 3 this weekend, that means you got to go 5-4. That's very doable in the last 9. So that's where LSU sits. Your RPI is rock solid. Your strength of schedule is very good. Your quad 1 wins are good. These are all quad 1 games, by the way, this weekend with Alabama, who's in the top 50. Their RPI is pretty good as well. You're in great shape in terms of a resume. You've got to get healthy and just keep kind of checking off some wins. I think LSU wins 2 of 3. I got a text from Michael Caldwell saying the game's at 6 tonight, which I thought was at 6:30. Thought I saw that on the app a little bit earlier, but obviously I did not, because obviously Michael Caldwell would know when the game starts. But yeah, if it's at 6, which it is right there, 6 o'clock tonight, 6 o'clock tomorrow, 1 o'clock on Sunday. I just whiffed it. But 6 o'clock tonight, so don't get there at 6:30. You'll have missed an inning and a half. 6 o'clock tonight, pregame show gets underway at Eagle 98.1 at 5:30 with Chris Blair and Doug Thompson. Tigers and Tide at the box. Excited to get out there on Sunday to watch a little bit of baseball, but got dad duties tonight and tomorrow, so we'll get out there Sunday and have some fun. LSU wins 2 out of 3. We'll talk about it more on Monday, and we'll talk about this matchup a little bit more with Will Miller, who's coming up from Tide Illustrated. He covers Alabama, and he'll get his thoughts on the Tide coming up at 2 o'clock. Lots of LSU football news over the last 24 hours. 1, LSU's got a new defensive line coach. I'll tell you about him coming up. And 2, there's a player that went in the transfer portal yesterday that I really think might fit at LSU. I will tell you who that is next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $15,000 off all new 2022 1500 SCA trucks. And all new Bayou automotive vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Bayou Ford has $2,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% APR for 84 months on new 22 Ford Expeditions. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Need something catered, whether it's a tailgate this weekend out at the box, birthday party, just big family get-together. Corks has got you covered there. They can handle catering orders for you. They can get your catfish. They can get your fried shrimp, get your French fries. They can do it for you over there at Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the website, corksfishandshrimp.com. Check out their incredible menu. Their seasoning and dressing born right here in the seafood capital of the world in South Louisiana. They got your catfish po' boys, your shrimp po' boys. Got a fish and shrimp po' boy, which is awesome. Their crawfish etouffee is fantastic. They'll serve it with fish and shrimp. They'll serve it over their baked potato as well. The fries, they had the crinkle cuts at the beginning, which were not bad, but they went to the crispy shoestring fries, which are awesome. They stay crispy in that box, and the drive-thru is super efficient. You go in there, they got somebody that's there taking your card, taking your order, roll around that window, and they'll hand you your food, get you on your way, or you can dine in their newly renovated dining room. Corks Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Our Friday show is brought to you by those folks. They're the same folks that brought you Couillon's Barbecue. New concept here in Baton Rouge. It is Corks. LSU has got a new defensive line coach. It is Jimmy Lindsey, formerly a defensive line coach over at South Carolina. Lindsey has been a big part of their recruiting efforts over there at South Carolina, which have gone exceptionally well under Coach Beamer. And this is a guy who's got a prior relationship with Matt House. They worked together on staff at Gardner-Webb back in 2005, and I think Matt House has some significant influence over there on what they're doing on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think Brian Kelly meddling too much in that. He's letting Matt House run his show, and Matt House said, hey, we want to go hire Jimmy Lindsey, and Jimmy Lindsey is on his way here to LSU. So an SEC coordinator coming from the East over to the West. I think maybe more relevant news to me is not necessarily the defensive line coach, but a name went into the transfer portal yesterday that really piqued my interest for a number of reasons. And I was asked on a show that I did earlier this week, what position might LSU go after in the transfer portal? I think safety is probably one that I would have gone to first. But after that, I said, it wouldn't shock me if a running back turned up. And that sounds crazy because you've got a lot of depth at that position. You've got Noah Cain. You've got Armani Goodwin. You've probably got John Emery when he returns. You brought in a couple in this class. You've got Josh Williams. I mean, you got 6 guys that are on scholarship to run the football. But I don't know that any of them are proven to be bell cow running backs, number one guys, not quite to the standard that LSU has set with elite level backs for a long time. They just haven't quite found the next one since Clyde's unbelievable 19 season. Ty Davis-Price had a great afternoon against Florida. Was he, the same type back as Leonard Fournette or Darius Guice or Jeremy Hill or Joseph Adai or any of those guys? I don't know. I would lean no. And I don't know that Logan Diggs is that, but I think he's more talented than maybe anybody in the running back room currently. And Logan Diggs is in the transfer portal. If you're going, who's Logan Diggs? I've never heard of this person. Well, Logan Diggs is a running back from Notre Dame. We happen to know a guy who used to work at Notre Dame. He's running things down here in Baton Rouge now. Oh, by the way, he's from New Orleans. Connection number 2. Frank Wilson tends to do pretty well with running backs from New Orleans. And Logan Diggs is that. Last year, he was Notre Dame's second leading rusher. And he was a really quality back for Notre Dame. I turned on the highlight tape. You see his 75-yard catch and run against South Carolina. See him hurdling a defender. He's got good speed, good size, good athleticism. You're talking about a 6-foot, 215-pound guy who's got a couple of years of eligibility left. He averaged 5 yards a carry last year for Notre Dame. This is a guy I would be very interested in LSU bringing in. I think you can upgrade talent at that position. Your depth is really good, and you need it because it's a position that gets banged up. But I think the talent can use a little bit of an upgrade, and I think Logan Diggs is that. I would very, very much like LSU to go get Diggs, and I think right now, based on the information that I gathered earlier today, that is a real distinct possibility. I mean, you would figure that every road would lead back to LSU. There are going to be some other schools in the mix. Alabama's in the mix, Miami's in the mix, and there may be a situation where he takes some visits. Doesn't have to do anything. Now that he's in the portal, you had 2 more days. He's in the portal, so now he can take his time and explore his options. Spring ball's over. He's going to finish out the semester at Notre Dame, so there's no real rush. But all roads for a New Orleans kid who signed with Brian Kelly once upon a time to once again show up with Brian Kelly and come home. Diggs had an LSU offer. LSU came in at the 11th hour and wanted him at the end of the recruiting cycle a couple of years ago, and he decided to stick with his Notre Dame commitment, which is the honorable thing to do. Now he's got an opportunity to come home, and I think the 6-foot, 215-pound sophomore back would become LSU's lead back. I don't think LSU is going to have a situation this year like they did the Jeremy Hill years or the first Fournette year before guys showed up and was a star, where one guy just carried the ball 20 times a game. I don't think that's going to be the case with this LSU team. Even if Diggs were to show up, I don't think you just eliminate the carries for Armani Goodwin or for Noah Cain or for John Emery. I think there's going to be a rotation whether Diggs comes or not. But I do think if Diggs were to come, he would shoulder the biggest of the workloads, which in my mind is probably 60-65% of the carries. That's just a off-the-cuff number. But it feels to me like watching tape, when I look at this guy, he catches the ball out of the backfield. He's got some good speed. He's got plenty of size to run in the SEC. He's proven back at this level. I just feel like Logan Diggs is a guy that they would bring in. So if you looked at the depth chart and you'd never heard of anybody and you were just looking at the depth chart to see where they would add a transfer, a running back would not jump off the page, but I still contend they should be in the market for that. And Brian Kelly said at his press conference a couple of weeks ago, or at the end of spring games, it was this past weekend, that they still don't have 85 players yet. They're still not to that limit. He took over a program that had almost nothing in terms of scholarship, and it's going to take some time to turn that over. And they're not quite to 85 yet. They've got room to add people, so it's not like he's taking a spot from a safety or taking a spot from somebody on the offensive line if they wanted to add depth there, defensive line, linebacker, where they're a little bit thin. It's not like you're taking a spot that you didn't otherwise have. You've got multiple spots that you can fill, and I think Logan Diggs would fill that. So no timetable on what Diggs wants to do. He's in the portal, and that's what's important. I know that LSU right now is kind of making sure that the nest is in order, as it were, because if you don't get your name in the transfer portal in the next 48 hours, you're not going to go in. They've cut that down. So LSU's kind of making sure everything's good here, then they'll go explore. I told you yesterday that LSU's staff right now is also scouring the state of Louisiana over these 2 days to meet with high school coaches, evaluate prospects who are in their younger classes. And so it's a busy time. It's always a busy time for college football coaches. But if Logan Diggs committed to LSU this weekend, it wouldn't shock me. If you waited 3 weeks, wouldn't shock me there either. But I think LSU should absolutely go get him in the transfer portal. One more day. 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge, and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon presented today by the Baton Rouge Men's Clinic, Patient Plus, and Louisiana Federal Land Bank. You can donate today and for 2 more days on 1045ESPN.com. Reminder, every $5 donated to Dreams Come True gets you entered into our raffle. Some great items that we've got there: an Aaron and Austin Nola autographed bat, ball, picture. Those are all separate. You don't get them all at once. So get each one. Justin Jefferson autographed helmet, a Justin and Jamar Chase framed wall print, giving away 3 days and 2 nights at CMA Music Festival in Nashville, Friday, June the 9th through Sunday, June the 11th. They got a concert ticket package to see Thomas Rhett, Shinedown, Zach Bryan, Depeche Mode, Guns N' Roses, Hardy. I've said this a number of times over the last 2 weeks, and I'll say it one more time as the month comes to an end. This is a wonderful cause that we're fortunate to be a part of here at Guarantee Media for 1 month out of the year, and you all, the listeners, have just been so generous with your donations this year. It's been unbelievable to watch those pour in. We're trying to make as many dreams come true for these children right here in the state of Louisiana as we possibly can, whether it's sending them to Disney or getting the family a pet or meeting one of their favorite celebrities. Whatever we can do to make as many dreams come true as we can, we're trying to do. So no donation is too small, no donation is too big, and thank you again from the bottom of our hearts over here at Guarantee for donating. It has been a wonderful month, and you still got a couple of days before April ends to get those donations in at 1045ESPN.com. We got a loaded hour number 2 coming up for you. After SportsCenter, we're going to chat with Will Miller from Tide Illustrated as Alabama invades the box for a 3-game set. Come back after SportsCenter, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The world's leaders in obesity research, obesity medicine, and obesity science are right here.
We're doing something that no one's ever done, or trying to answer a question that no one's ever asked before.
Pennington is a real jewel when it comes to research.
We are finding the solutions to the world's worst chronic disease, which is obesity. Louisiana needs Pennington Biomedical.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. The second and third rounds of the NFL Draft coming up tonight in Kansas City. The first 3 picks of the night right now belong to the Steelers, Cardinals, and Lions. Among the players still on the board, Kentucky quarterback Will Levis, ESPN's Matt Miller.
No team in the NFL should have better insight and intel on Levis than the LA Rams because, hey, the offensive coordinator was there. He's close to Sean McVay. If the Rams don't take him at 36, we might need to have another conversation about, okay, well, if they don't like him, where does he land?
Matt Miller on Fitz and Harry. The Rams have the 5th pick of the night, and our live draft coverage resumes at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio. We've got an NBA playoff elimination game doubleheader tonight starting at 8 Eastern on ESPN. First up, Kings and Warriors with Golden State leading the series 3-2. Then Grizzlies and Lakers with the Lakers leading that series 3-2. Penn guard Jordan Dingle tells ESPN's Jonathan Givony he'll enter the transfer portal. Dingle was the Ivy League Player of the Year last season and the second leading scorer in the country.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. They're close, convenient, and have the parts you need fast, along with excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
Now, Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, last hour of the week here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Hope your work week's been a good one. It is winding down. Should be a fun weekend down here in South Louisiana. Got Jazz Fest rolling over in New Orleans. There'll be crawfish boils aplenty. And some baseball out at the box, LSU and Alabama, to talk about that. We'll bring in Will Miller from Tide Illustrated. Will, thanks for the time. How are you?
Hunt, thank you for having me on. I'm excited for this weekend and thrilled to talk this important series with you.
Well, I mean, where's the interest in baseball right now in Tuscaloosa with Tyler Buckner coming in to play quarterback and the top 2 picks in the draft, or 2 of the top 3 in the draft last night? Where's the interest in baseball over in T-Town?
Well, football's the main event right now,
Yep.
and the number 1 overall pick was definitely something to see. But I think with baseball on a 4-game winning streak and entering a tough stretch of SEC play, there has been a good amount of focus on what this team can do in terms of whether they can get back to the postseason this year, which was item number 1 on the agenda for them. And I certainly think they've turned some heads with this recent streak, and it helps that they're playing just such a pivotal series down in Louisiana this weekend.
Have they played better the last couple of weeks, beating Auburn 2 out of 3 and sweeping Missouri, or has the competition level just dipped a bit?
Well, I do think they've improved. They've been more consistent. The bullpen has sharpened up significantly, and that was one of the main reasons why they took those last 2 from Auburn. But the offense has put together a nice run, too. It wasn't the best start to SEC play, but sometimes in baseball, as you saw in the pros with the Phillies last year, it's all about getting hot at the right time, and you want to have your winning streaks right now when you're getting to be about a month, 4 weeks or so away from the SEC tournament, from going to Hoover, and when you're playing series like this one against the number 1 team in the country. They were on a nice run when they went and played Tennessee last year too, and that didn't materialize, but obviously they're hoping for a different result this time around.
The Tennessee team was a little different last year. And Bama this year kind of held to an important rule in Southeastern Conference baseball. Just don't get swept. And they continue to pick one off, and then they've won a couple of weekends in a row. I think early in the season, at least from the outside, as I'm kind of monitoring the SEC, I see this Alabama team get off to a good start, and Hitt and Hess in the rotation were kind of the cornerstone of that. Those 2 guys out of the mix at this point, but their team's playing pretty well in their absence. What does a weekend rotation look like from a stuff perspective this weekend?
Well, on Friday you got Luke Holman, and he pitched himself into the starting rotation. He began as the midweek starter. He was a bullpen guy last year, and he's been excellent. He was a pitch away from 7 innings and 1 earned run against Auburn, and that's not how the stat line ultimately looked. But he's got good stuff, and I don't think anybody was expecting this to be the situation because Grayson Hitt in the top 50 on the MLB draft prospect list, and Ben Hess was your guy on Saturday, and Coach Bohannon's had a ton of faith in him in his 2 years here. And as you mentioned, neither of those guys are on the shelf, and there's really been no definitive timetable that I'm aware of on when Hetz might come back, but we know that Grayson Hetz is going to have Tommy John. And you had Garrett McMillan, who was the number one guy last year, and he's going to start on Saturday this year, miss basically 2 months. I don't think anybody could have expected how the pitching rotation has panned out up to this point, but I think Luke has risen to the challenge. He's settled in when it comes to league play. It was a bit of a learning curve the first couple of starts, but he's gotten back into his groove, and I think that he's got the stuff to go 7 innings again this Friday.
Garrett McMillan's going to pitch on Saturday. We're familiar with him, a front end of the rotation guy for Alabama earlier in his career. What kind of lift has he given Alabama since coming back?
Well, it's been massive. The Auburn start, he filled in for Grayson Hitt when he got pulled from the Auburn start, and that was only his second time after coming back from injury. And the first one, he struggled, got banged up. His ERA was something like 11 after that, and he delivered, I would say, what is the most important performance by a starting pitcher up to this point in the season for Alabama in that second game against Auburn, and really put them in a position to win that series, which ultimately they did. And you're hoping for that same result again if you're Alabama, because he's a guy that Bohannon went to last year to throw a lot. His pitch counts are generally pretty high when he's healthy, and if he can do that and have his best stuff, then like Holman, he can go pretty long in a game. And your bullpen has been used a lot, and that's something you kind of want to taper off a little bit this weekend if it's at all possible. You've had big innings from your young bullpen guys, but at the same time, Alton Davis went 5 innings in 2 games last weekend, and that's not necessarily the best thing in the world, because if you can have your starters go 6 or 7, that's what you want. And McMillan throws a lot when he's healthy, and if he's back to form, he's probably going to throw for a long stretch of the game.
Tell me about Alton Davis, his stuff, his role in this bullpen.
Davis throws really hard, and he's struck out a lot of guys. His confidence has got to be through the roof right now. From what I've seen from going to and watching the game, seeing his body language, seeing how he's thrown, how he's warmed up, his confidence is just through the roof. And why wouldn't it be? In those 5 innings I mentioned, he didn't give up a run. He was the first reliever that Bohannon went to on back-to-back days this season against Auburn, and he got the job done. And it seems like he has found his best stuff at this exact moment that we're talking, and he's emerged into that closer role. And it couldn't have come at a better time, because you've got to have your roles established when you're at this point in the year, and he has certainly entrenched himself in that stopper's position.
You look at some of the freshmen across the SEC. Ethan Petrie at South Carolina has just been unbelievable. It's been a really good run for Ike Irish over at Auburn. I think Colby Shelton maybe gets lost in the shuffle with some of these maybe bigger names, but his year has been unbelievable as a freshman. What's been the key for him offensively?
Well, the key for him offensively has been the long ball. He has the Alabama freshman record for home runs in a single season, which is his jersey number 16. And at one point, this was a little while ago, he had a homer streak where he hit at least one in like 3 consecutive games. And he has got a lot of power in that bat. And he plays third base, he's been improving as the year's gone along. And when a guy's a freshman, he's not going to be perfectly polished defensively in February. So you want to see that improvement. And I think that he's improved in that category as well. He's blossoming into a more complete player, and that's another important piece. Alabama was replacing a third baseman. Zane Denton went over to Tennessee, and that's where he's playing. He was a third baseman last year, and Colby has filled that with his power, has been record setting. Like I mentioned, it's a freshman record. It's not just any record. That's a young guy coming in and doing that stuff.
Who else are kind of the straw that's stirring the drink for this Alabama offense?
Well, Dominic Tomez has an 8-game hitting streak right now, and he appears in the DH slot a lot of times. He's a catcher by trade, but with the addition of Matt Gassetti, he's caught less than he did last year, and it's helped his bat. It really has helped his bat. He was great in the Missouri series, multi-hit game on Friday night. And he's a guy that you want to have be consistent because, well, obviously he's your designated hitter. And I'm a Braves fan, and I'm used to watching my designated hitter hit a ball 60 miles an hour off the bat in a ground out. And Tomez doesn't do that. And he's just put together a nice streak. He's putting the bat on the ball. And like I said, baseball sometimes is all about getting hot at the right time, and he's seeing the ball really well right now.
Well, I'm a Cubs fan, so I appreciate you sending me Dansby Swanson. That means a lot, and I appreciate it. He's doing a great job. I appreciate
right?
Yeah, he's a player, and the Cubs are playing better than I imagined. So it's been a good little start for Dansby Swanson. Will, thanks so much for your time, man. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hunt. Have a great weekend.
He's Will Miller from Tide Illustrated, covering the Crimson Tide baseball team. Look, Alabama's in a pretty good spot right now based on the fact that they lost all 4 of their first 4 series, but they never got swept, and then they've won 2 out of 3 against Auburn, swept Missouri, and they're very much in the mix to host a regional if they can get a couple of wins in series down the stretch. This would be a huge one this weekend. I previewed this game back at 1:30 about 40 minutes ago and told you I think LSU will win 2 out of 3, but Alabama's a solid club, top to bottom. They're solid in the rotation. They're solid in the lineup, and they've got some guys in the bullpen that concern me. But it's not a team that's overwhelmingly talented. They're just rock solid. LSU's going to have to play great to beat them, and starting with a pretty good guy on the mound tonight, that is Paul Skeen. So first pitch, 6 o'clock from the box tonight. Catch the pregame show on Eagle 98.1, our sister station, at 5:30, and Chris and Doug will have the call of the game at 6. Game 1 from Ally Box Stadium between Alabama and LSU tonight. When we come back, I'll get you ready for the SEC baseball season. We still got some NFL draft thoughts coming at 2:30 as well, so don't go anywhere. Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com. Go to onebathandclosets.com and check out the reviews, check out the work that David Duvall and his team do. How much different would your house be, your living situation be, if you got the bathroom of your dreams? Maybe it's a full-scale renovation, but you don't have to call 6 contractors to get it all done. You just call one. David Duvall at One Bath and Closets. They can do a full-scale renovation. They can also just do something simple like a tub-to-shower conversion. If you don't ever use that tub, you don't have a 1-year-old splashing around like me, and you want a gorgeous walk-in shower, they can do it at One Bath and Closets. New closet, they can do that for you as well. Customize it to your wardrobe. How awesome would that be as a Mother's Day gift coming up? Give them a call. Onebathandclosets.com is the website. If you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you, they're not going to charge you for the labor to rip out or install the closet. Just going to charge you for that unit. That's the deal they're giving the listeners here at 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
For over a century, local broadcasting has evolved with the needs of the community. We move past the stigmas of opinion journalism and bring the most relevant news online, on air, and on the go. You have trusted us with your news, sports, weather, and entertainment. Trust us to keep moving with you. Text TV to 52886 and tell Congress local broadcasting is here to stay.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all of that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way.
Hey, it's Hunt. Join me for a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Full reaction to the draft and really locking in on LSU and Alabama from the box. Hunt Palmer Show on Friday, presented by Cork's. 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It's the fastest promo to actual show in 104.5 history. Hear me promoting the show, and here it is, the Friday edition, brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Get on by Cork's for a real late lunch or early dinner. It's on Government between Foster and Jefferson, and it is delicious. One of our salespeople had Cork's earlier today. Smelled the entire office up like Cork's. It was fantastic. Get on by there today, see our friends. Same folks that brought you Kuyon's Barbecue, and their fish and shrimp is dynamite over there at Cork's. Not a great weekend of SEC series in terms of the matchups. There have been much better weekends of Southeastern Conference play, but there were a couple games last night that had some interesting ongoings, and you were probably watching the draft and not locked in. So let me catch you up on what happened last night. Tennessee and Mississippi State were doing battle up in Knoxville, and Tennessee was up 7-1 through 5 innings of that game. But State got 2 in the 6th and 3 in the 7th and made it 7-6. They went to Chase Burns, who's now their new number 1 bullpen bullet, and he was awesome until Hunter Hines mauled a home run in the 9th inning over the wall and right to tie the game. So it was 7-7 going to the bottom of the 9th, and Griffin Merritt hit his second walk-off home run in 6 days. It was 411 feet to right field. If you've seen Tennessee's field, you know 411 feet to right field, plenty enough to get out. It's like 140 feet to right field, and Griffin Merritt absolutely crushed it. So that's 4 straight SEC wins for the Vols, who sit here at 9-10, telling you I'm not going to throw dirt on them just yet. Their hosting chances are slim. They're going to have to go nuts the rest of the way. They still have talent. And Burns has kind of found his new role. Lindsey's done a nice job in games 1s for him. So now you got Dolander coming up, and then Beam in game 3. They're a force, and Mississippi State is in trouble. They just are. Texas A&M is at Arkansas. Peyton Stovall, who's not my favorite player in the Southeastern Conference because he's from right down the road from my house over there in Houghton, and he plays for the wrong team. But he's quite good. He's quite good for Arkansas. He hit a grand slam to put Arkansas at 5-0. And then Texas A&M hit 2 home runs in the 4th to make it 5-4. Hogs tied it at 5 in the 5th. And they went to Hagen Smith, who was awesome in 4 scoreless innings to finish it. The defense did help him. This was maybe the play of the year in the Southeastern Conference, one of them. Look, you had A&M had 2nd and 3rd with 1 out in the 8th. And there was a fly ball to left center field, and Hunter Grimes, Arkansas's left fielder, comes running over. It looks plenty deep to score the run from third base with 1 out. He makes the catch for the 2nd out and then absolutely throws a seed to home plate to get Ryan Targach and preserve the tie. And then Arkansas, Jace Beaurevin hits a 2-run home run in the bottom half, and Arkansas wins the game. So a lot of dramatic drama in the SEC last night, but Tennessee beats Mississippi State and Auburn beats Texas A&M. Looking at the series that start tonight, you got Kentucky at Vanderbilt. Of course, Vanderbilt's coming off being swept by Tennessee last week. Kentucky's lost 3 straight series, and you heard me say this 2 weeks ago. I think Kentucky's going to lose the rest of them. I just don't believe in that team. I don't believe in their pitching, and I don't believe in their style of offense, and I'm going to pick against them this week too. I think Vanderbilt will take care of business against Kentucky, and I think while the RPI for Kentucky is still really strong, that conference record is going to take a hit, and I think that RPI will back up, and I don't think they're going to win enough games. Even if their RPI is in the top 16 when it's all said and done, they're not going to win enough games to be a host site. I just think that's the way that things are going to go. Missouri is at Florida. I just think Florida's way too offensive for Missouri. Missouri's given up 50 runs in their last 2 SEC weekends combined. That's 8 a game, and that's not exactly when you want to go play a Florida lineup that bashes balls all over the place. And, oh, by the way, they're irritated because they just got swept by South Carolina. So I think Missouri's in big, big trouble. We know they've only won 2 games since week 1 when they swept Tennessee. Missouri's not very good. LSU caught a huge break in not playing Vanderbilt and not playing Florida. They kind of missed out on playing Missouri because that's a very beatable team at this point, and I think Florida will handle them with relative ease. I'm going to pick a sweep for the Gators in that one. Auburn is at South Carolina. The issue for Auburn in this game, they don't pitch it very well, and one of the things they do is walk a ton of people. Well, South Carolina leads the league in walks. They draw walks at an incredible clip, and they hit home runs. And I think that Auburn giving away free bases via the walk, which they do routinely, is a terrible idea in Columbia, South Carolina. Gamecocks are 13-4 in SEC play. If they can get a sweep this weekend at home against Auburn, that'll be 16 SEC wins. They'll have almost locked up a host site. The RPI is unbelievable. That would be 16 league wins. All you got to do is win a couple down the stretch. Obviously, South Carolina's playing for a top 8 national seed, and I told you earlier this week that I thought they were the best team in the Southeastern Conference. So I'm going to pick Auburn to get 1, but I'll take South Carolina winning 2 out of 3 against Auburn. LSU, if you're looking to win the SEC, need a little help from Auburn this week as they go to Columbus, South Carolina. I don't think you're going to get very much because Auburn, not very good. Georgia is at Ole Miss. We'll see what the crowds are like in Oxford this week because that team is cooked. They're done. LSU put a fork in them last week, but it is double-decker weekend in Oxford, which is the biggest weekend of the year. They've got a bunch of events going on the square, and it's a big to-do in Oxford, double-decker weekend. So a lot of people come in town, and usually that's some of their biggest baseball crowds. However, I think the bloom is off the rose with this team and their national championship hangover, so I don't know how good the crowds are going to be. Georgia is an interesting case because they played a little bit better the last couple of weeks. They're 7-11 in league play, and here's what they got left. They're at Ole Miss, then they got Tennessee, then they're at Missouri, and they play LSU. If they're going to get into a regional, Georgia, they need to win 14 league games. That's when you're in. 13, sometimes teams get in. 12, you're in big trouble. They need to get to 14 to feel really good about it. So you got to win 7 more league games. Tennessee and LSU are going to be tough to beat. So you got to take advantage of at Ole Miss and at Missouri. They're on the road, but you got to do it. And Ole Miss, Hunter Elliott came back last week. We know that wasn't effective. Cruz hit homers off him, and now his elbow feels uncomfortable again. That doesn't sound good to me. He's probably going to be shut down the rest of the season, and you hope that's it because if he's got to go into the knife, you're going to lose next year as well, and that is almost his entire career. He can come back if he wants to, or he could return to pitching and see what the draft holds. I think he would probably come back because he's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball guy with a good changeup. But it just doesn't sound very good for Hunter Elliott, and I hope that he didn't try to come back too fast against LSU, but it doesn't sound good because he doesn't feel very good. I will take Georgia to win 2 out of 3 against Ole Miss. But Hunt, you picked Ole Miss to win 2 out of 3 against LSU. I did. I thought the reasons were sound. I got blasted for that. We're at Don Juan's Cigar Bar last night, trying to enjoy the NFL draft, enjoy a cocktail. I'm getting hounded for my Ole Miss series pick. It was 5 days ago. Chill out, everybody. But now everybody's mad at me for picking LSU. I can't win here. I pick against LSU, I'm an idiot. I pick for LSU, I'm jinxing them. You got to pick a side. I got to pick one or the other. I'm getting hounded from all angles here. So that's my my thought on SEC baseball this weekend. I think that Tennessee's in good shape against Mississippi State. We'll see what A&M can do the rest of the way against Arkansas. They need to get at least a game to feel good about the way that they're moving. A&M's won 4 weekends in a row. They're kind of progressing towards what we thought they could be, but they could take a step back against Arkansas this weekend. I've got Vanderbilt taking care of Kentucky. I got Florida sweeping Missouri. I have got South Carolina beating Auburn 2 out of 3, and I've got Georgia beating Ole Miss 2 out of 3. I want to tell you one more time about the Dreams Come True Radiothon. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon presented today by the Baton Rouge Men's Clinic, Patient Plus, and Louisiana Federal Land Bank. You can donate today at 1045ESPN.com, and every $5 donation plus gets you entered in our raffle, which can win you an Aaron and Austin Noel autographed bat, ball, picture, Justin Jefferson autographed helmet, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase framed wall print. Some great stuff in our raffle, so go to 1045ESPN.com through the weekend. It ends on May 1st, and then we'll draw next week for our raffle, and certainly appreciate all of our listeners for donating to Dreams Come True. It is just such an awesome, awesome cause, and helps put smiles on young kids' faces while they're fighting really tough battles here in our state. All the money stays right here in Louisiana, and we're thrilled to be partnered with Dreams Come True. Just a couple more days to go to 1045ESPN.com and donate. We appreciate all of that. I'm going to be out at Rouse's a little bit later today from 3 to 5. It'll be a few minutes after 3 because obviously my show goes until 3, but I'll get there as quickly as I can. If you're doing your weekend grocery shopping, go to Rouse's. I'll be there. Burbank and Lee will be giving out some prizes, hanging out. May have some tickets available at some point. So come on by Rouse's and see me. Burbank and Lee, I'll be there about 3:15 till 5 o'clock. Very much looking forward to that. And then LSU baseball tonight, 6 o'clock. We'll be locked in for that. NFL draft resumes a little bit later. Rounds 2 and 3 are tonight. Let me give you my thoughts on what we saw from a big picture perspective last night. That's next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer. In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
What's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
Hello, Samantha, dear, I hope you're feeling fine. And it won't be long until I'm with you all the time. But until then, I spend my money up right down on my last dime. Come on, live Baton Rouge. I'm ready, what you put me on through. Gotta send my love down the
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364-1007, and we'll come to your house and give you a free inspection.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Recapping round one of the NFL Draft, previewing the weekend, and looking ahead to LSU, Bama, and baseball. Join us, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
NFL draft countdown is at 3 hours and 30 minutes till it resumes once again. I can just see Mickey Loomis. He's sitting somewhere just tapping his foot, tapping a pin somewhere, tap, 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 and just can't wait to pull a trade to move up somewhere. You know it's coming tonight. And you know it's coming. We chatted with Catherine Terrell earlier in hour number one about what the Saints may do in the draft. I think that tight end makes a lot of sense. I think running back makes a lot of sense. I think offensive guard may make some sense, and I wouldn't be mad at them at all if they went back to the defensive line and laid all that out in hour number one. I wanted to give some of my overall thoughts on the draft last night here as we progress, and I just loved what the Texans did. When the buzz was out there that they were not going to take a quarterback at 2, I was like, man, this is just not the way to do it. Because you just don't know when you're going to get a top 2 pick again. And there's just a world of difference between picking at 7 or 8 when you can just kind of take what's left as opposed to being right up at the top of the draft and you can take whoever you want. And the Texans are in a position with all these assets to make it happen and get a quarterback. And like they're going to take a defensive player and then get on down the road. Go with Davis Mills as you push off the dock here in the D'Amico Ryans area. That sounds like an awful idea. Well, they had tricks up their sleeve. They got their quarterback in C.J. Stroud, and then they went and made trades and grabbed the best defensive player in the draft in Will Anderson. I thought that was awesome by the Texans. I think there's a little bit of reason for optimism around there for the first time in a long time. It's been a dismal franchise for a long time. And I think with D'Amico Ryans coming in and then getting probably the best player in the draft and then what you hope to be your franchise quarterback, I thought the Texans did an awesome, awesome job. I know more about the Bears than I should just because of the amount of time I pay attention to Chicago folks on Twitter and even some on the ESPN radio up there. And they've just been a rudderless ship for so long, swinging and missing on quarterbacks, getting beat down by the Packers for 25 years with Rodgers and Favre. It's just been a dismal existence for the Bears up there. And for the first time, they really feel like there's a real direction up there with the new GM and new coach. I think that Ryan Poles is doing an awesome job for them up there. They're just accumulating picks because they have got to overturn this entire roster. And we know what they did with the first pick to get a haul from the Panthers and then to turn around again and move back one spot, grab a 4th rounder, get in the boat. They have a plan. They know that they're not 1 or 2 pieces away. And I thought what they did last night to grab another 4th rounder was really, really good. And by the same token, I think the Eagles jumping up that 1 spot to make sure that they add Jalen Carter was awesome. And they're in a position to do that, which not many teams are. I talked about this on Tuesday. I said the Saints, I made a pretty poor analogy, but one that I think stands up, about your house. And if you have no AC and the roof's got 4 holes in it, you can't buy a surround sound system. You got to take care of the issues before you start getting luxuries. Well, the Eagles are on a perfectly solid foundation. They got probably the best roster in the sport. So they can go for luxuries. And at this point, Jalen Carter, another big Georgia defensive lineman. Jalen Carter is a luxury because it might not work out. But it's certainly worth a risk if you're Philly. And, Haney was saying, I would not have that guy on my team. Can't finish your pro day workout. It's the most important thing in your life. And you go to the combine, you got to go home to get arrested, and you can't finish your pro day workout. It's just a huge red flag. You won't talk to anybody outside the top 10. That's an ego issue. And all that stuff may be true. But if he doesn't pan out, the Eagles are okay. The Fletcher Cox guy can play pretty well. They just inked their long-term quarterback. They got real weapons on the outside, one of the best offenses in the league. They are really balanced, really deep, and really talented. You take a flyer on what you think may be the best talent in the draft. I love the Eagles doing that. Now, if the Saints want to trade up and acquire a big risk, I'd go, that's not very smart. You got a lot of issues you got to deal with. Saints took one of the safer picks in the first round in terms of character and quality of the guy. But I love the Eagles taking the risk because they are in position to do that. I thought it was awesome. The Bengals, my squad, die hard-ish for 3 years. They go get a pass rusher in Myles Murphy from Clemson. I think he pairs with Trey Hendrickson really nicely. Lamar Jackson's going to be sticking around in that division, so you got to get after the passer. And I think that what the Bengals did was a good spot. The one pick that I saw last night, and I went, huh? There was one pick that made me do that. And now it makes a little bit more sense 15 hours later. I'm looking at the screen, and Denver goes with Jahmyr Gibbs. I'm going, what? You got DeAndre Swift and David Montgomery right there. You got running backs. I mean, I like what the Lions are doing. I like the direction they're moving. They played really well at the back half of last year. They're the nice story from Hard Knocks, and everybody's kind of pulling for them. They got some America's team vibes, and everybody's pulling for the harmless, lowly little Lions. But you got two backs. Why are you going to get another one? Well, it comes out that DeAndre Swift doesn't really want to be there, and you got a sense of that when you heard from their general manager last night. It was like, hey, you got a couple guys, and you said, well, yeah, DeAndre Swift's on our team for now. And you got a guy that says, oh, they may be changing things up a little bit. And it turns out that they are going to look to move DeAndre Swift. And so he'll be moving on. They'll try to get some assets for him. But then you look at the pick and go, oh, because Jahmyr Gibbs, to me, is going to be a stud. That guy, so smooth, so fast, well-rounded back, can run between the tackles, smooth in transition, can catch the football. Like I think he's going to be a star. And thought that there may be an opportunity for the Saints to get him there at 29, which I would not have thought was a terrible decision. Well, not even close. He goes early to Detroit, and I thought it was a ridiculous pick. And turns out it's going to work out just fine for them as they're going to move on from DeAndre Swift. So that's kind of my overall thought on the NFL draft. Then we move into today and the Will Levis situation. When you tie what he went through last night with the quote he gave a couple months ago, it's just a brutal scene. For those that didn't see it, Levis said he would only go if he knew he was going to be a high pick. He just didn't want to be the guy that showed up and then sat in the green room and had the camera focused on him all night. And unfortunately, he painted that picture and then lived it. He was the exact guy that he was terrified to be a couple of weeks ago. And you sit there and you sit there and you sit there, and it's tough. And we've seen great success stories come from that. Lamar Jackson sat there for a long time, his draft day. But when you sit there and you sit there and you sit there and you don't go, it's just brutal to look at. And we talked about it yesterday. We talked about it on the companion show last night. I've never really gotten the Levis thing. You can take any player in the draft, and compare them to an NFL star. There's not a single player in the draft who's got a body type or a skill set that doesn't portray a star in the NFL. So that game is pretty worthless. I know you can do it. There's short quarterbacks. There's short running backs. There's guys who haven't been productive in high school or haven't been productive in college that become productive in the NFL. There's guys that have been in trouble that have overcome it. There's every type of story you could want in the NFL. So just pointing that out doesn't guarantee. So every time you're going to look at Will Levis and tell me he's Josh Allen, I'm just going to look at him play and go, no, he's not. I just don't know. Clearly, there were some teams that liked him. I don't think the NFL draft guys were talking to the people that they always talk to and getting lied to or just making stuff up. Clearly, there were some teams that really liked Will Levis. But when the Colts went Anthony Richardson and you started to look at the teams that were coming up, it was tough to find a landing spot for Will Levis, and it just never came. And we can circle back to the Anthony Richardson pick if we want to, I guess. Matt was on board with it. Charlie's on board with it. T-Bob's on board with it. I'm not. I talked about it yesterday. I think it's a terrible pick. I watched the guy in college. He wasn't very good. He runs fast, and he's big. And he can throw a ball far. He can also throw it to the other team, not know where to throw it inaccurately, but he runs fast. I would not have taken him. And I'm stunned, honestly, that somebody didn't come in and take Levis and even Hooker. I said yesterday I thought all 5 quarterbacks would go just because that's the nature of the draft, and they just never went. So now you look up on day 2, and there are going to be 2 teams that draft Levis and Hooker and think they've got their guy. But I'm curious, now that a lot of teams kind of have their quarterback situation put to bed, maybe Las Vegas gets in the mix. Like, are they drafting these guys to be backups now? And do the Saints have any interest in that? I would say no, but you never know what they're going to do. I would suggest to the Saints, go fill needs. Quarterback isn't one. You just signed one for $100 million, and you got a backup that's played a ton of football. You've pushed off the dock with Derek Carr, in my opinion, and you need to put a team around him. So I would not be in favor of going to grab a quarterback if I'm the Saints. But you never know. And I think this is an appropriate time, I think, for Will Levis and Hendon Hooker to go here as they move forward. I think the Colts are going to be in big trouble. But you shoot your shot. Got an early pick. Quarterbacks on the board. They got the guy that they wanted. I think Young and Stroud have a chance to be stars. I don't like Richardson, and I never liked Levis, and I don't know what their future holds. It was a brutal scene last night. It sounds like Levis has bailed on the draft. I don't think he's going to show back up in a new suit and sit in the green room by himself and wait. I think he's going to take this one in from home. We shall see. Draft cranks up at 6 o'clock tonight. That is 3 hours and 20 minutes from right now. We'll have a full recap of it coming up on Monday's show. I'll be at Rouse's this afternoon from 3 to 5. Looking forward to that. If you're getting your weekend groceries, come on by Rouse's Burbank and Lee. We can talk some baseball, talk some NFL draft, grab some groceries, head on home. Download that Rouse's app, by the way. It's awesome. You can do your grocery shopping right there on your fingertips. That's just about going to do it for us. We're going to take a timeout, and then we're going to come back. We're going to play some Take It or Leave It, and we're going to go to Rouse's. We're going to enjoy an awesome weekend down here in South Louisiana. Come back with us for one more segment. It is the Hunt Palmer Show.
This is Hunt Palmer.
The NBA playoffs are here, and you can turn crossovers into cash with FanDuel. Just visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN right now and place a $5 bet, and you'll get an instant $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. Great promotions every day on FanDuel. The app is safe. The app is secure, and the best part, tell you this every day, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. So go to FanDuel.com/1045 and sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet your first $5. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. Bonus issues, no withdrawal bonus method expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. If you're somebody who has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire up their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Turn my music high, 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 high. Yeah. You don't know what you're doing. Sure I do. I'm from the streets where the hood can swallow on me. Bullets will follow on me. There's so much that you could run the slalom. The cops comb this top to bottom. They say that we are prone to violence, but it's home sweet home. With personalities clashing, chrome meets chrome. Prices up and down like this Wall Street.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you. Pop, pop. What's up?
Oh my gosh, look!
Curb appeal. That's a good-looking neighborhood. ReliefWindows.com.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's that time again. It's heating up. Your boat's getting ready to come out and spend all summer on the water. It's time to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service, where if you want an incredible custom speaker install, it's going to blow people away in the water, that's there for you. You want an HD sonar where you can see the fish under the water before you cast, beat all your friends, that's there for you at front-to-back boat service. So don't put it off. We got the parts in right now. Get them now before they go back on back order. Front-to-back boat service.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Hi, I'm Brandon Landry, founder and CEO of Walker.
Hi, my name is Dr. Craig Green.
This is Ryan Terrio with HUDCORoofing.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. No matter how big your commercial roofing job, HUDCO can help.
My patients come to me because they trust that I can get the job done at a high level. Ryan Terrio and Richard Tilley have the same level of trust when it comes to roofing.
If you have a roofing issue, call HUDCO Roofing.
Give us a call, 364.
For the Monday edition of Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. from Walk-Ons. It's Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. Monday on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt Palmer on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We are counting down the moments until the weekend here. Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge Friday shows. Brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Check out the website, corksfishandshrimp.com. Telling you, if you're South Louisiana, Seoul, and you think going through a drive-through for fried seafood is beneath you, just go to Cork's once. I'm telling you. It is fantastic. The catfish is crispy. It is fresh. It is delicious. That Gulf shrimp is huge in their batter. It's recipe born right here in South Louisiana, the seafood capital of the world. It's fantastic. The crispy crinkle cut fries, or crispy shoestring fries, are fantastic as well. From the same folks that brought you Couillon's Barbecue over there in Port Allen, they are serving up delicious fish and shrimp over there on Government Street. Be sure to check them out this weekend. Speaking of this weekend, opening weekend at Jazz Fest. I'm seeing a bunch of people down there festing. Basically, our entire Eagle 98.1 staff is headed down there to enjoy Jazz Fest. Alondra, are you a Jazz Fest enthusiast?
I've never been to Jazz Fest.
Really?
Yeah, but I wanted to go to this one because Santana was playing.
Are you going?
No, I'm not. It's too hot for all that.
Beck, are you a Jazz Fester?
Yeah, I've been a few times. I went a couple of years ago, saw Elton John.
I was there for that.
Yeah, and then I think that was probably 4 or 5 years ago, and then a couple of years ago I saw Maroon 5 there. So
there you go.
Yeah,
See,
it's pretty cool.
I'm a grumpy old man when it comes to many things, uniforms in sports being one of them, and this is another grumpy old man thing. I just can't do Jazz Fest. There's too many people. It's too hot. It's too hard to get a beer. It's too hard to leave. It's just too crowded. I can't. I've never been on a Wednesday where it's the locals as opposed to the tourists that are coming in for the weekend, and maybe that's a better scene. But I'm not a huge music enthusiast, and it's just a difficult logistical situation for me to deal with. The Elton John thing, I was actually in the Acura tent for Elton John in the Acura stage at that point, but the tent only allowed you to get 2 drinks over the course of the day.
What?
So I'm going to go out and get more. And even being in a premium seating area, it was too crowded. It's just and then you have to leave, and everyone's leaving at the same time. How am I supposed to get an Uber? There's a bajillion people here.
Yeah, it's not easy.
I think I'm on the same page as you, the grumpy old man. There's too many people.
It's a sad
hot.
state of affairs.
It does take too long to get a drink. I don't like festivals, period.
And then the crawfish bread, which was one of the main draws, the vendor canceled on them.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's just But so I'm lucky because my wife loves Jazz Fest, but her brother loves Jazz Fest too. So he comes in, they go, I stay at home, do whatever. I'm just not a Jazz Fest enthusiast. Some things for everything, for everyone. It's just not for me. All right, Jacob Beck, let's play some Take It or Leave It.
All righty. Starting off here, Kim Mulkey is currently hosting All-American forward Anessa Morrow, who averaged 25 points and 12 rebounds for DePaul. Perfect season incoming. Take it or leave it.
I think I'm going to take it. I think they're going to run the table. They are putting together a dream team. I don't know if they're getting Anessa Morrow or not, but it feels like they might, and she would be kind of the complement, to the replacement for LaDasia Williams. You've already replaced Alexis Morris with Haley Van Lith, and you're not replacing them with reasonable. You're replacing them with All-Americans. Anessa Morrow averaged 25 points and 12 rebounds. You're bringing in the #1 recruiting class in the country, and you've got basically the entire core back from a national championship team. they lost 2 games last year. It's not out of the question. They could win them all. And I heard from a little birdie today that after Haley Van Lith committed yesterday, the ticket office got 1,000 requests for season tickets for women's basketball. This town, if it wins and it's purple and gold, they will show up. We've seen it with gymnastics. We've seen it with baseball. We've seen it with everything, and we're seeing it with women's basketball right now. They are going to be a delight next year.
All right, Laura Rutledge worked the green room at the NFL draft last night while 9 months pregnant. Take it or leave it.
I mean, more power to her. I'll take it. That's awesome. I'm wondering about the travel logistics of that. Yeah. Like, we at the end of the road for us, which was Christmas, we just sat on the couch for a few days. The whole family went up to Shreveport for Christmas. We sat there by ourselves, and then Myers showed up on the 27th. She went to the labor in the evening of the 26th. So that's a dangerous game. I'm sure she can't fly at that point. Did she drive on a bus or something? I'm a little concerned with the logistics of Laura doing that, but more power to her. She's out there on the grind, 9 months pregnant. That's quite impressive for Mrs. Rutledge.
Yeah, no kidding. Antonio Brown.
Oh, my God, this story.
Tweeted a picture of himself in a Ravens jersey saying he was excited to be back in the NFL. The Ravens have not signed him. Antonio Brown is coming back. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it. Antonio Brown is such a weird guy.
He is.
He takes a picture, photoshops him in a Ravens jersey, and tweets like, glad to be back in the NFL, like Ravens gang or whatever. And like the Ravens are like, no, we did not sign Antonio Brown. This guy is so bizarre. Like, I feel like if he was a reality show, people would watch it in droves. He's so odd. And the decisions he makes, he's taking his jersey off, leaving the field in the middle of the game. This guy is just, it's almost like it's a scripted TV show. What an odd tweet.
It's really crazy to think that like 5 years ago, he was probably the best receiver in the NFL.
I mean, I went to a preseason game, my first and probably my last preseason game of the Saints. They played the Steelers. Roethlisberger was in there for one drive, hits Antonio Brown for like 5 catches and a touchdown first drive. Like, all right, that's it. Jeez, this guy. And he's just an odd guy. That is an odd tweet.
Very odd. All right. Radar Online has reported that after his divorce from Giselle, that Tom Brady is done with models, quote unquote, and wants someone with a low-key career. Take it or leave it.
You know, I've got good news for Tom. There probably are a lot of accountants and, whatever other job that's pretty low-key that would be interested in marrying Tom Brady. So I feel like his dating pool, if he was just going for models at the beginning, it was pretty small. There's not that many models in the world. There's a lot of people with a low-key career. Done plenty of folks that are interested. So I think that's a good thing for him. I also don't think he's done with models. I think he'll probably find his way to another model if I had to guess.
That's kind of a shot at Giselle, too. It's like just kind of demeaning her. Like, oh, you're just a
Didn't
model.
Giselle immediately get with a trainer? Is that how that went? I think that's how it went. Pretty cliche, pretty predictable, and probably tells me, there may have been some issues. That's a predictable thing. Tom, that's a pretty impressive statement. Say, I'm done with models. I can't deal with it. I guess he and Jeter can.
That's pretty
G
like.
And Jeter can say that.
Yeah, seriously. You have to be pretty. I don't know. That's kind of crazy.
It's a tough gig. I wonder what Tom's up to these days. Is he eating tomatoes again? Is he off that now? He's not playing.
Yeah,
TB12.
I wonder if he's just gonna like gain weight. There's no way he's not. He's gonna keep up his.
What was he drinking at the parade that got him all sauced? It was like avocado vodka or something.
Even when he was getting liquored up, it still was like healthy liquor.
Healthy liquor.
I think he's getting facelifts.
Well, he's doing a lot of that. That is very, very apparent. I mean, the morphing of Tom Brady over time when they do that is just hysterical.
He's done with models because he's gonna be one.
That's a bold prediction. Like, take this, Giselle. I'm not the only model in this family. It's just I always wonder about guys that are so addicted to the game. I don't think there's anybody that's been more so than Tom Brady. Maybe Kobe. But Kobe found some other things to do later on, and we'll see what Tom has in store. But it won't be hanging out with models. I can promise you that. He's done with the models. That's it for Take It or Leave It. I had a fun show today. We opened up the show talking about the Saints draft and what they did. They'll crank things back up here in about 3 hours. Kat Terrell from ESPN joined us at 1:15 to talk about what she thinks the Saints did last night and will do this evening. That was a fun interview with my former Reveille cohort, Catherine Terrell. I previewed LSU and Alabama. Series starts at the box in just over 3 hours. Talked about that at 1:30. LSU's got a new defensive line coach, Jimmy Lindsey, and then Notre Dame running back Logan Diggs in the transfer portal. I think it makes a ton of sense for LSU. I said why at 1:45. Second hour, Will Miller was great from Tide Illustrated talking about this Alabama Crimson Tide baseball team and what they're bringing to the box this weekend. I gave you a preview of the SEC weekend that was at 2:15, and overall my thoughts on the NFL NFL Draft at 2:30. If you missed any of it, you can always catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com on demand tab. All of our sound is loaded up there every single day, every show. We're more of a Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast person. It's all right there as well. Anywhere you get your sound, you can find us. Search The Hunt Palmer Show. Like, subscribe, rate, review. We'd appreciate it. Same goes for our YouTube channel. We got Hunt on LSU, Hunt on Saints. You'll subscribe to that. It'll come right to your fingertips. We try to make it easy for you to access our content, so we appreciate all of that. It's the last couple days of the Dreams Come True Radiothon. I want to get that in one final time before we get on down the road. Go to 1045ESPN.com and donate. Look, the Dreams Come True Radiothon today brought to you by the Baton Rouge Men's Clinic, Patient Plus, and Louisiana Federal Land Bank. Y'all have been so awesome all month long and helping us out with that. So still a couple of days to donate at 1045ESPN.com. I'm headed to Rouse's to hang out from 3 to 5. If you're looking to get your weekend groceries, get on by Rouse's. Burbank and Lee will be hanging out, talking a little baseball as well. Matt Moscona is about to drive you home from 3 to 6 on After Further View. Plenty of draft talk with Matt, including the radio hour. So we'll join you back on Monday, same time, same place. It's 1 to 3 on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, anytime. Hunt Palmer. And After Further Review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Each year, Guarantee Media hosts a radiothon to benefit Dreams Come True, the local organization that grants dreams to Louisiana kids suffering life-threatening illnesses and their families. We've interviewed these incredible kids, and their stories warm our hearts. And none of it would be possible without your help. So we're asking for your support in our effort to making more dreams come true. Each year, our Dreams Come True radiothon is powered by the Baton Rouge Clinic. Visit GuaranteeMedia.com to pledge your support today, and thank you.
Hey there, little buddy. What's the matter?
What's the matter? My windows, siding, and my door. That's what's the matter.
Relief Windows can fix all that. I got you.